Hello everyone and welcome back. My name's X and we're back with another video for you today. Today we're going to be covering one that's not actually Halo related, but it is part of one of those top, request things of most requested features. And I know that, with my channel being so Halo related, it'd be kind of a surprise that I actually do play Gears of War. I just don't play it as much as I used to, and I actually will kind of brush over why that is in this video. But anyways, I'm looking forward to, Gears of War 5 coming out. I'm hoping to see a lot of cool new things and to come out with that, new features, a good story, a good multiplayer. I'm hoping to see some good changes to it. And anyways, I was deciding that, since I already did a top 10 for a bunch of Halo games, and I got requested by people that aren't necessarily in Halo but want to see me cover this one and the Battlefront series, I decided, since both those games I do play and I actually enjoy them, that I decided I would cover them. And so I decided to hold a poll. I let it, kind of mature after a while and see where the end results were. And now that I feel like it has matured enough here, we're going to start off here. So let's get going on this list of the top 10 most requested features for Gears of War 5. Starting off our list here, one of the top 10 most requested features in Gears of War 5 is matchmaking mixtape. Now, this happened in Halo MCC, and it's already been seeing a lot of approval from a lot of people, not just in the Halo community. A lot of other people would really like something like this, and personally, I think it's the best actual thing currently for matchmaking, because server browser, obviously can't line you up with a ranked match properly, but at the same time, people want to have more choice in what they choose to play. And so one of the best things that have happened here is matchmaking mixtape, where you can choose both the maps and modes that you prefer playing. Personally, I think it should be kind of like, how an Excel spreadsheet works out, where you can just check mark which ones you want. So it's not like it's automatically going to put you in that exact playlist, but what it's going to do is it's going to allow you to choose what modes and maps that you prefer playing, and find people that match up with you and put you in matches that give you the maps and modes you enjoy playing. If you really just only enjoy playing one map and one mode, you can do that. Chances are, though, that your matchmaking will take a hell of a lot longer to find anyone, but that's a possibility. But there's times where I don't really care the map or mode I play. I just want to play it and just get going. And then there's other times where I kind of want to just play this one map over and over. Or the cool part is if you hate getting that same map over and over, you can choose not to play it. That's an improved version of what matchmaking composer should be. Not just in the Halo games but in other games, because it sucks when you get the same map over and you just don't like it. And a good way that developers can really tell if it's something worth keeping or whether it's not a good map is to see how much people are actually choosing to play it. If people are choosing to avoid it, clearly there's something wrong with the map. And if there's people constantly choosing one map that they really like, either A, it really is a well-designed map, or B, there might be an exploit or something that they're taking advantage of, and that's why they like it, because there might be something broken about it that they can take advantage of. So either way, I think Gears of War should do something like this, and that this tells the developers how to quickly address any maps that have issues on them, certain game modes that need fixing. It really would help a lot of the players with a better experience in matchmaking, because a lot of times it's really frustrating not to be able to choose a map and modes, and you're just forced to play a map that you just do not like. And this also fixes a lot of issues where it's hard to make all these playlists that cater to every single person. And then, when you're making all these different playlists, you're segregating all these people into different areas, and then that causes populations to drop. When it's easier to just intentionally just choose whatever you want. Say, for example, you only want to play objective game modes. Well, you can just play extremely, just straight up objective game modes only and nothing else. And then say if you don't care if you play a objective mode or just a regular just go around and kill people kind of mode, if you want to play either of those modes, you can actually do that. And what it'll do is it'll just line you up with the next one they find. So you can go from playing King of the Hill to playing to, you know, team deathmatch and switch over to Guardians, Warzone. So a little bit better than the Halo MCC version where you have to select each time when you search at the settings you want. You just can choose exactly which things you want to apply to. You know, maybe save like a whole thing that you can check mark all things you want, and just then certain days of the week that you feel like only playing a certain ones, you can still save the entire selection of things that you kind of enjoy, but segregate it to like, okay, I just want the team deathmatch and the Warzone, that's all I want. Or you can just have it all play, and you can have all the team deathmatch, King of the Hill, Guardians, Warzone, Execution, all that fun stuff, and you can just play it all to your liking. Personally, I think that'd be a cool idea. You just do that way, and I think that would actually be a better experience for players, and if they're having a better experience, they're more likely going to keep playing, and then that means that more people are going to want to stay with Gears 5 when they're playing, and not, you know, switch over to other games if they're having a better experience. So I think this is a good thing to go along the lines of here. Again, it doesn't have to actually be day one that they get it. It could be something added in the later update, but just good reference here. Anyways, I'm going to get to the next one here. Next up on the list here is Carnage Mode, or basically what is a massive BTB mode, which someone coined that name there that I thought was pretty cool, and I decided to throw that as the name for this. Basically, you have 16 to 20 to say 32 player size. It doesn't matter, just whatever feels right in testing. But basically, it's similar like Team Deathmatch, same kind of situation, but with more players and possibly the use of vehicles, including riding blood mounts and using King Ravens and Brumaks and Centaurs, and also filling in with bots necessary. If you know there's not enough players, they can just have bots running around as well. Just more of a, this one would be more on the side of more of a casual experience. Obviously it's not going to be, you know, as try hard as some of the other modes, but this would be pretty cool because I've always wanted, you know, the idea of, you know, a little bit of vehicle gameplay. I know that it's more, you know, Gears of War series has more been about cover systems and more about the individual player, but I mean, I think it would be pretty cool because I'm hoping for, you know, Gears 5 to be more of a massive battle going on in the story, and I hope that it even reflects into the multiplayer modes, that there might be a mode that, you know, kind of symbolizes this big massive battle that's going on. But I mean, we'll see what happens, but personally I think this would be a pretty cool idea. And for that, I'm just gonna end it there, but I'm just gonna let you guys, you know, let your speculations go on what kind of things you could see in this. You know, a lot more weapons and vehicles and enemies. I think that'd just be really, really cool, just the amount of carnage that would go on in that mode. Next up is improved horde mode. This is one of the two reasons why I kind of left. I kind of did not have that great of an experience. Is horde mode kind of dipped a little bit. There's just certain things that I liked about horde mode in the very beginning with Gears 2 and Gears 3 that was really good, that just Gears 4, even though they add a lot of cool features and whatnot, the experience of playing it is just not that fun anymore. It's just, there's a lot of issues that I've seen. One of the biggest issues is just people quitting. Absolutely hate that. I hate how you barely get to wave 10 and there's always one player that quits. And people, you know, propose more punishment systems, but I've learned from Halo. I played lots of Halo, and Halo Reach and Halo 5, they tried to really punch the hell out of you for quitting, and I can tell you right now, that doesn't do anything. There's always going to be someone that quits. So what I think they should do is at least throw in a bot filler. Like, even if it's just a regular bot, and even maybe doesn't, you know, do as well, I'd rather have something to make it feel like I'm not just completely playing by myself, and that you have at least another person there for the time being that can at least do something. And I you know, even though some people don't have great experiences with bots, I've sometimes had situations where the bots actually manage to help me, manage to revive me, go around and help out. And I think in a couple situations you can actually have a bot just by building a dummy to the point where it actually can move around and whatnot. So I don't think that they're absolutely useless like they try to, you know, imply. I think that's really dumb that they even think about that, because I think it's actually kind of a good idea, and it's just a filler bot. It's not something that stays there when a new player joins. They just act as a placeholder until someone joins in, and then once they leave, another person takes that spot. And also, besides adding bots, what would also be cool is being able to change classes in between. So you can go up to a command center thing. I keep forgetting what that name of that area is, but you can go and just change your class out. So if everyone just ends up spawning in for some dumb reason, all spawning in as a soldier, which is really annoying when stuff like that happens, where they all spawn as one class, and you're like, oh my god. It would be really nice if you could just be able to change classes, because you're like sitting there going, hey, is anyone an engineer or whatnot, and there's no one, like everyone just picked the same bloody class, so now you're hindered by that. And that's just annoying. So that'd be something cool if they could actually do that. There's also several other improvements that the community has made that are on the forums of just people wanting certain improvements done to it to kind of make a better experience, so it's just not such a drag when you have people quitting because they're like, oh, everyone's a soldier, everyone's an engineer, or everyone's a sniper, or whatnot, all the different classes, and then they end up just quitting because they get so frustrated, and then ruins the experience for the rest of us. I even heard one person say, something sarcastically in the comment sections when people were talking about HORDE mode, that they'd rather pour orange juice on their wounds than have to play with randoms and solo queuing, because people just, they are the worst, and I have to agree with that. That is just absolutely terrible. Make sure to also, comment down what other things you would like to see improvements on HORDE mode, just in case, someone, this video happens to get to, the devs, and they actually want to see what things that they can actually fix in HORDE mode to make it more of a better experience. Next up on the list here is no overkilled microtransaction system. Like, seriously, I can't, stress this enough that they need to address the microtransactions like how Halo and other games are trying to improve on it, because people are complaining about such things with having direct buying versus going through a loot box system. You don't have to pay to play private maps. I think that's ridiculous that the maps come out and the only way to play them is through matchmaking. If you want to play privately, you have to pay for those maps. And also get rid of these things of duplicates. Like, seriously, that's just intentionally built to just grind upon. Like, oh, you got a duplicate, yay, that's fun. That's just absolutely irritating. Seriously, direct purchase way better than loot boxes, because going through that loot box system of just randomized nonsense is just annoying. Besides the fact that I think even the US government has been reconsidering looking back into loot boxes and possibly may need to address those as gambling, which I really do think it's gambling. But the fact of the matter is, it's not a bad experience, and it's just designed to just make the outcomes terrible. And the fact that it goes to such extent is just irritating as hell. I mean, make it so like there's fewer armors that are cosmetics that you can at least unlock on your own, because I liked in Gears 3 when you could actually unlock stuff, and it wasn't through microtransactions when you got certain skins and whatnot. That was a really cool experience to actually get something you can earn, and make it so like the rarest ones and the most interesting ones are the ones you have to actually earn. Think about this. Gears 4 charges you for paid maps. You have to pay for the maps and the DLC after you already spent $60 on the game. Plus, you have to pay for loot boxes to unlock anything to get any sort of cosmetics, and still have the audacity to still even give you duplicates on top of that, which is why I never even give it real money. The fact that they actually try to use duplicates and make the system even more grindier, and so it makes it feel unrewarding when you open up a loot box sometimes, when that's what you get out of it. And I know some people don't really care about it, but then there's others that like to have different variety, not all look the same, like as if we're still playing in the 2000s, where everyone just plays the same in multiplayer. People want to have more variety of their character, and so when you have these things, it's ridiculous. And so they say you have to pay for these loot boxes and these maps in order to get things like new updates for new content and to help support the esports and so forth. But yet somehow Halo 5 was able, in its microtransaction system at least, to be able to have free maps, several major updates, not just small tiny tweaks and whatnot. Like, I don't even know lately, because I haven't been playing Gears of War 4, if they've had any major changes since. But Halo 5, at least they came out with a lot more new modes. They even came out with a custom it was a custom game browser. They came out with a bunch of cool features, even too, that a lot of people probably that left the series didn't realize about that, but some good features they came out with to make it more of a better experience. On top of also, you know, besides the custom game browser and the Warzone firefight, they also came out with new armors, new skins, new vehicles, new weapons, and support the esports at the same time, all with just a loot box system alone, and it didn't have duplicates in it. So I have, you know, a hard time believing that the coalition that they are hurting for money that bad that they are going to nickel and dime you for every little experience you want to have.
Right.
If you want to play on a map, you got to pay for it. If you want to have a cool skin for a character or a weapon, you got to go through a loot box system that'll give you duplicates. And so it made me lose interest. This is probably one of the biggest reasons I just lost interest in it, was just nickel and diming for everything. And that's why I just wouldn't even pay for it, because it was just like, why would I ever pay money for something that gives you duplicates? That's just absolutely ridiculous. That's not even a great experience. So even when I just played it regularly, just to get a loot box took forever. When you finally get it, it did not feel rewarding at all. And I just looked at it, I'm like, this is just terrible. And so I kind of just gave up after a bit. I was over it. I was like, I had fun a little bit for the, you know, horde mode and all, but I just, you know, one day was playing horde mode, I got off and I never got on Gears of War again. It was like, wow, that was not, you know, an amazing experience. The campaign, really good. I actually, you know, liked it. I know that it wasn't, you know, mind-blowing as all the other Gears of War games, but you know, it kind of, you know, still you was able to have a great experience, and it still got you still sad at some of those moments, like at the end with you know, you thought, you know, Marcus was gonna die, and then freaking oh, that ending with Kate's mom. Oh man, dude, that was pretty hard. That was hard hitting. It wasn't like, you know, as impactful as, you know, say, you know, Dom and his whole story throughout Gears of War 2 and Gears of War 3, where that hit you right in the feels. But still, it didn't, you know, you're like, oh, that was just hard to watch. It was just pretty painful and just like, but yeah, I mean, when it came to the campaign, great. When it came to the multiplayer, it was not really that fun of an experience, to be honest. I hope there's other improvements, and later on we'll get down to that, but the microtransaction system really just made me lose interest in how they were just constantly nickel and diming it. I found out, I was just asking to see if I was just maybe missing something, and people were like, nope, that's the system, that's exactly how it works. I'm like, that's just ridiculous. Anyways, let's move on here before I, you know, go on an endless rant about this. Next up we have on the list here is Battle Royale. Yes, I know there's some people out there that hate Battle Royale no matter which community it is, and there are pretty much a good amount of majority of people that also hate it, but surprise, there's actually even a good amount of people that want to see it in there. I don't know if they're necessarily, you know, going to go with the 100 player count, or they go with a 50 or a 30 count. Just, you know, whatever feels right in testing, and, you know, just regular weapon starts. So, you know, you can choose whether you want the hammer burst or the lancer, and then you can have, you know, the Gnasher as a secondary. You all start off at randomized spawn locations, just like you do with a regular multiplayer mode. The only difference is this is Battle Royale, how it plays, and you have, you know, randomized power weapons throughout the maps. You have one life. There's both a free-for-all mode and a team mode, and it's in a closing area with the last man standing or last team standing wins. I know people don't like this, but actually, funny enough, a while back, I think this was on Gears of War 1 on PC, someone had developed some sort of mod or something where they allowed for 100 players. I believe that was the count that it got up to. I can't find that video anymore. If I do find it, I'll put it on here. If not, I guess it, you know, got lost in time, but there was this really cool mod someone made. I don't know how they did it, but I've seen something like this in Battlefield 3 beta, where someone did that on the PC and put like a ridiculous number of players in the game. And basically someone did that in Gears of War, where they did teams and they had the count up to 50 and only one person alive, one life in the entire game. if you die, you're out, and it was pretty intense to watch. I mean, though when it did get close to the end, it kind of like just swarmed over because one team had started slowly gaining ground and started taking over. But it was pretty cool because it was just really cool just seeing all these players on a map. And I was watching this from like some guy who had to like, it was kind of like theater mode where he was being able to move around the map and show all the players where they're at and what was going down. And the reason why I think it's Gears of War 2 is because I keep thinking it's Blood Drive that was happening on, but I may have been wrong on the name of the map, and I think someone made a modded version because it was Gears of War 2, but I think they brought it to Gears of War 1 PC and made a mod of it. I'm not sure how it all went down, but I just remember watching the gameplay and it was pretty cool. And it was just one life, you're dead, you're out, and then it was pretty cool because they all got swarmed at one point, and it was just like everyone just holding off in like one room, the last like 5 or 6 players, and they were trying to hold it off like against like 20 to 30 other players. It was pretty cool though, I gotta be honest. That was a really cool experience. So for a game mode to be like that, for something like that to have existed long before Battle Royale was ever suggested a mode, before it was ever even thought up or even conceived, there was an actual mod where it had 2 groups of players, 50 versus 50, just going at it, and it was pretty intense to watch that go down. You know, it sounds like it's a really cool idea. You know, maybe they do make, you know, equivalent map size to it and whatnot, and I would just be interested in seeing how that works. Something that would be kind of like that, you know, where it's just large number of players, one life, both a free-for-all and a team mode that you can choose from, and you just go until your last player standing or your last team standing. I just think it'd be cool. Apparently a lot of others actually are pretty interested in this idea as well, so I just think, you know, it'd be pretty interesting to see how this goes down. I mean, again, the poll doesn't have much votes on a lot of these, but when it came to the talks about it, hearing people, you know, say what they would want to see and what they don't want to see in the game, this actually did get brought up in the discussion of what idea, which 10 I should pick from, and this is the one that kept getting brought up, and so I decided to throw that in there, even though I know there's a certain number of the community that is not for it, but I'm just gonna throw it out there anyways. Next up on the list here we have is improved campaign. The campaign was pretty good in Gears of War 4, but definitely there's some complaints about it. Like one of those was it just felt way too quick right when it was finally starting to get really good. That's when the campaign was over. It just felt like, wait, what? So yeah, there's a lot of people that want to see some improvements on the campaign. Like definitely they want the story to be longer. Also, some things that I hope for that also a lot of other people have mentioned is they want to see larger scale battles, similar to, you know, Gears of War 2 in the scale of NPCs all battling it out and fighting it out on an epic skill level. I remember when, you know, they first showed off some of the new technologies for Gears of War 2, they were showing off how they could have tons of enemies on the battlefield and not hugely impact the, you know, engine and whatnot, and causing any lag issues, and they were showing off all that cool stuff. And I want to see that because I loved when those battles got massive, and that was kind of one of the things that's just the fights felt really small a lot of the times. I know that sometimes they do that for making it more focused and, you know, more of a personal aspect and trying to make it darker, but I hope there's, you know, points in the campaign where you see massive battles. I mean, Gears of War, you know, 2, when they're showing off that whole trailer thing, that was pretty cool, of just like everyone fighting it out inside a cave. That was pretty cool. And then I mean, when you play in the story and you got to ride a Brumach and, you know, kill everyone, that was pretty cool too. You just had tons of armies just charging at you, and you're riding this Brumach and just mowing them down. God, that was just, you know, that kind of carnage whatnot was just absolutely badass, and I just absolutely hope that they do stuff like that when it comes to the story. So I would love to see, you know, all these robots and other COG units all fighting it out against the swarm in some massive points throughout the game, that there's not just always just going to be a small area, but there's always going to be these large scale situations that happen. Some of the other things that people have brought up about the campaign that they want to see improvements on are seeing, you know, things like more focus on the main part of the story, and you know, bringing that horror aspect that Gears of War 1 had, better dynamics of the NPCs, more lore based around the planet of Sarah and how their solar system works, maybe. kind of just some, you know, maybe some small stuff that you can throw off on the side that can tell a little bit of more lore to the Gears of War universe, or planet, or however they want to call it, and you know, how their technology advanced so that they could, you know, do space exploration and stuff like that. Something, you know, kind of interesting on that. You know, it doesn't have to, you know, be the entire story of it, but maybe like something on a terminal or something like that you just find off on the side that tells you more about the lore of this planet and everything surrounding it. It'd be pretty cool. Hopefully we get, you know, some more insight that and more about, you know, the creation of the locust and the leading up to the swarm and whatnot, because that was pretty cool finding out that in Gears of War 2 that the locusts are actually humans, and that was pretty cool. So hopefully there's some more cool twists and turns that come up in Gears of War 5. Next up on our list here is bring back the classics. A lot of people want to see some, you know, classic weapons, skins, characters, maps, and modes brought back. You know, some of the locust you know, classes that they had. Also would be great, you know, to bring back the mode Overrun or Survival. You know, it looked cool in Judgment. I played the beta of it. I just never ended up getting the game, and then when I finally got, you know, Judgment for free when I got Gears of War 4 and whatnot, unfortunately it's kind of sad that they, you know, not that many people play anymore because there's a lot of other things I'm not going to get into. But you know, it just the mode itself was pretty cool. I just did not feel like buying a whole game for what was all in it. Some things that people want to see also for like skins and stuff is to bring back, you know, Karn or Alex Brand, and the Chairman Prescott, and you know, a few other characters, you know, that are not in Gears of War 4 that they, you know, want to have those kind of skins. Some old weapons and character skins that used to exist as well, just any of those, and also bring back some of the popular weapons like the one shot, the digger, the ink grenade, the gorgon pistol, the mortar, the sawed off. I know the sawed off, there's a, you know, a few number of people that absolutely hate this, but surprisingly I've also seen a few number of people that want it back. So I don't know, it's just whatever at that point. I don't care one way or the other. I know there's going to be some people that are super, you know, technical about it, but yeah, there's a couple things of classic, you know, modes, weapons, skins, characters, maps that people want to see back, and you know, I'm interested in seeing what things they do bring back from the originals. Next up on the list here is new melees, executions, assassination mechanics. People want to see more executions with even a repair tool someone mentioned, which, okay, you know, if they, you know, suggested, I think, you know, maybe not. It sounds pretty interesting, but yeah, a lot more executions people want to see. That's kind of what Gears of War is known for, so hopefully seeing more of that. Maybe even alternative different styles of melees that you can use when you hit people, that you don't just always hit them with the same type of melee, that you can have different things that you can attack them with. Also, people have mentioned this. I was actually surprised by this, but some people actually brought up that they want to see the ability of assassinations, that if you sneak up on a player behind them, that you can actually assassinate them. I don't know whether or not, you know, some of the more competitive community members will like that, or that they will actually be, you know, thrilled for that idea, or they might take it the other way and not like that idea. But you know, it's a possibility. I mean, it's pretty hard to get behind someone in this game. In any of the Gears of War games, it's not something you can easily just do, so I think it'd be pretty interesting. But yeah, that's interesting to see what they might do there. So maybe you could see some cool new ways to do that. It was pretty interesting when they brought assassinations over from Halo Reach, when they finally introduced it to the Halo series. So maybe Gears of War might be, Gears 5 might be the one that they finally introduce them in. I'm not sure, but let's see how that goes out. Next up on the list here, we have more improvements to the multiplayer, including more weapons, skins, characters, maps, modes, and so on. There's a lot of other things that people want to see. They want to see a lot more additions added in. So on top of the already existing stuff in Gears of War 4, people want to see things like, you know, maybe bringing Beast Mode in with but this time with maybe a swarm added into it, or maybe, you know, a hybrid mode of Beast Mode and Horde mode with 5v5 with bots. Kind of like, you know, anyone who's played Halo, it might be similar to like Warzone, if you guys know how that game mode works, but it'd be more emphasis on a 5v5, so it's a little bit more smaller scale, but it also has bots in it. I don't know, might be interesting, might not, but I think it'd be pretty cool, you know, to see how that goes down. Also, humans, you know, hold out and survive against the swarm or locust attacking, and constantly the size just growing over time. Possibly, it'd be really cool is either a forge mode or with the PC version, maybe even a map editor itself. We haven't had it in a while, and it would be pretty cool to actually see if they could bring one back. I remember Gears of War 1 having it. It would be pretty cool if they could actually finally make one for Gears of War 5 that you guys can mess around with. And since the Gears of War series is known for using the Unreal Engine, and the Unreal Engine is free, this would be pretty cool to kind of mix it in there, maybe, hopefully. That'd be pretty cool. I myself use the Gears of War engine just for game industry stuff, and it would be pretty interesting being able to mess around with that and add some stuff in there just for the fun of it, because that would be really interesting to see what I can do with that and make some pretty cool stuff. Maybe they do that. It would be pretty cool. I think there could be some even really cool competitive maps that the community could build. So again, looks like a lot of people are interested in these kind of ideas. So let's see where that goes off with if they decide to add something like that into the series. Hopefully they definitely have it was a cross-play so that people can play with each other on console and on PC. And now the next one here is multiplayer improvements. I decided to match these up all together because there's just so many things that people say they want the improvements to be made on in the multiplayer. So there's quite a few here. I'll try to get into each one just a little bit, not make this so long, but let's try here. So for multiplayer improvements, people want dedicated servers. They brought up a lot more of them. Consolidate the game modes so that they're not all separated into their own thing. That's kind of what I brought with the whole mixtape idea, that this way it actually kind of makes it so it's not so segregated out and causes populations to be an issue as much. If you can do the mixtape, you can have people being able to switch over to any of these modes real easily, and it's just whatever lines up next, you can just jump on in. Don't make it just the constant weapon tunings often. Apparently a lot of the competitive people I've spoke with are absolutely tired of the amount of tuning that they do. Like, they need to just kind of cool down on the amount of tuning that they do to the game, because they got pretty vocal about that they keep getting tired of having to readjust every time the weapon gets changed a little bit more. Like, oh, now we're gonna change the weapon this way, now we're gonna change it this way, and so the whole community has to keep readjusting, and they feel like it's happening every 2 or 3 months. They're getting like a new weapon tuning or something like that, and they just get tired of having to constantly readjust. So maybe just make it less often, unless it's something more massive that they really do need to tune it. Maybe just not do it as often to tune weapons and constantly make the community have to change, unless it's actually something like this hugely making the multiplayer unbalanced. Also, people brought up that they want to see easier display of weapon grenades in multiplayer, and also on the players themselves, because apparently a lot of people said they had issues where they got really frustrated where the player looks like they were just holding a Nashor or a saw, and they just switch out a boom shot, and it doesn't show that they had a boom shot on them. And it would be nice if they can see the weapons grenades on the enemy beforehand. I remember this was a thing that, going from Halo 2 to Halo 3, they now displayed the weapons on the player's back, so you knew if the guy had a Spartan laser on him or not. So I think that'd be pretty cool if you can actually do that as one of the other things. Another thing they brought up here, I mean, it's questionable. Some people say they're for it, some people are against it. I'm not sure where to stand on it, but some people said to be able to have the ability again to plant 2 grenades, like how they originally used to be able to, instead of only limited it to 1. So that's one thing people want to see here. Another thing is they want to see a good crackdown on players that do all sorts of things like quitting, idling, committing suicides, and so forth in your matches. It really frustrates you when you get matched up with these scrubby teammates, and if they do it often enough, they should be punished more for it. Personally, I personally think that what we should do is just, what I suggested in all my other videos is introduce the new feature of blacklisting. When a player has a habit of doing something like that, and they do in your match, if they, team kill, they die because they blew themselves up with their own nade, or they quit or whatnot, that you should be able to instead blacklist them and have that option if they do that. It's not something that just gets handed out to anyone, so you can't just do it to good players that are better than you on the opposing team. It's something that you can only do to people on your team that quit, and if they quit, you can just boom, mark them, and they can't play with you anymore in match-made games. And then what happens is that helps build a reputation system that has a heavier price, which now now tells the player, hey, if you do this often enough, you're not going to ever find a match because you ended up, you know, getting blacklisted by everyone because you kept quitting. So now people have to realize, you know, hey, maybe I shouldn't actually quit this and actually stick through it. Obviously, I think, you know, obviously in certain situations that like just they did with Halo MCC, I believe, where, you know, they don't punish you if, you know, you're like 50% or more of the team has already left. At that point, you're already going to be hindered by the game. You're already going to be, you know, smoked by the enemy team. They're going to have a better chance. So it shouldn't affect you as much quitting if you're already, you know, far behind and everyone else has already quit. So, you know, you're playing a 4v4 or 5v5 and you're already down to, you know, 2 players left on your team, you and another guy, and you're already getting you complete swarmed. You're just not even standing a chance. I can understand that. I can understand that as being a frustration or just, you know, wanting to leave. Personally, me, I think what they should do is use bot fillers. I know that, you know, people don't like them, but, you know, I'd rather prefer bots be in the game than nothing. And I think, you know, I've seen a couple times where, well, not a couple times, I've actually seen a lot of times where the bots are actually better than the players. So I actually think, you know, bot fillers might actually do a better job of, you know, fixing that. Also, people want, you know, faster weapon pickups and swaps. They feel like it's been really slowed down, and I've actually felt that it's a little bit slower of an experience of picking up weapons, and it didn't feel, you know, right, you know, moving like that. Definitely, people want to say again, you know, ensure that PC and Xbox crossplay is in the game. They want to make sure that that experience is there. Also, people want to be able to see stats a lot easier after matches, be able to see their stats and other people's stats and see what their KD. I've noticed, you know, again, the Gears of War community is a way heavier competitive community than a lot of the other games out there. So yeah, people really want to see that stuff. Also, personally, others that don't play for the competitive side, they just want to have a casual fun experience. Some people just want to turn that off and not have it so that people can view it, and they just, you know, not show that off. That'd probably build a bad reputation on your half if you do turn it off, because then people think you probably have really bad stats. But you know, some people just don't care and they want to be able to turn that off as well, and that would be pretty interesting to see where they go about that. Anyways, you guys, that is the top 10 most requested features for Gears of War 5, and a lot of people want to see, you know, all these cool features in there. Let's see, we know what happens. You know, Gears of War is just around the corner, you know, so there's a lot of hopes and wishes to see at launch and future updates, and hopefully most of these, if not all of them, finally make it in there. And you guys, if there's any that I missed, stuff that you're hoping for, features and ideas and other things that you hope that Gears of War 5 adds in, and you want to see that stuff get added in there, make sure to comment down below what things you're hoping to see. And also, don't be, you know, afraid to, you know, share this video around. Maybe share it around on the forums and see what people want and what they don't want. Hopefully, you know, we see a lot of good changes. Again, I really hope for, you know, a Beast Horde mixed mode where you know, you have some players on the swarm side or locust side, whatever they do end up doing with the horde mode. But, you know, I think it's just gonna be swarm, but it'd be pretty interesting. Just, you know, the swarm side, just, you know, they get to play as one side of it and attack the few survivors that are on the human side. I think it'd be pretty cool. I think that would be an interesting thing to see. Carnage Mode definitely seemed really cool. And, you know, again, I hope to see, you know, some really cool features. And if you want to see some good stuff too, you know, comment down below what you want, share it around, make sure this gets a lot of attention from the developers, and also, you know, rate, comment, subscribe. And if you want to see other videos, hit those notifications to get updates. I'm gonna eventually cover the Battlefront series and see what we want there, see if there's if they're going to end up making a Battlefront 3, or they're just going to continue making a Battlefront 2 updates and just end the series from there. We don't know what's going to happen. It looks like they're still doing tons of updates for the Battlefront series, even though a lot of people have left. But let's see where that goes. Anyways, I'm going to end this video. Thank you all for watching, and you all have a great day. Bye.